You're probably here because you're finding it a little bit difficult in finding your way about leadership, finding your way on how to manage people well, and finding your way on how to grow your business as an entrepreneur. Any one of these things are the topics that we cover. I'm your host, Sean C., aka Mr. CEO at 22. I am so glad that you took the first step of being here to learn more about leadership, entrepreneurship, and management because the world needs more people like you. We will help you to invest in yourself because that's something that is worth doing. That is something that is worth learning. If you have questions about entrepreneurship, maybe you're having problems at work or you're having some leadership problems or managing other people, boy, I have news for you. We have what we call a masterclass. Most of the courses in the masterclass deal with how you can generate revenue online. It deals with leadership, how to lead in crisis, how to break through the crisis in business, in entrepreneurship, and how you can manage other people better. Now, I always say the best kind of investment is an investment in yourself. And how much money are we charging for this masterclass? Not a lot. And if you invest in one, it's yours to keep. And if it doesn't, I'll refund you, no questions asked, full refund. So why don't you try it out? Head on over to sean.c/masterclass and check out any one of the courses if it fits any one of the questions in your head. And if you have any questions, you can just put it on the comment section and we'll get in touch with you. We want to know who you are and we want to hear from you. Until then, keep leading. All right, all right. Hey guys, welcome to another Leadership Stack live session. Tonight I have a co-host with me. Her name is JM Delarama, and she is going to join us in answering some of your questions about leadership, entrepreneurship, and management. JM, thank you for being here on the show tonight.
Yes, thank you so much, Sean, for having me here. It's actually my first time to do a live podcast. So, hello to you and to everyone in your community. Hi, guys. How are you all doing?
Guys, if you didn't know, JM has her own website, seasonswithmissjm.com, and she is also being licensed, or is it has it been granted already the license?
It's actually a certification
The
for
certifications are
yes, for
yeah.
life and grief coaching. So I am presently finishing my graduation requirements, and then after that my certification requirements as well for ICF. So it's under International Coaching Federation.
Awesome. Now we only have an hour, JM, to answer all of the questions we have tonight, and we have quite a good number of questions. So I will dive into it. Let me just first share what is in store this week for the podcast. So, the podcast, we have been able to publish one, two episodes so far this week. And the first episode deals with how to develop your leadership skills through challenges and crisis. Now, this is an episode with a guest, so you might want to check that out because these are very tough times. I heard that hospitals are getting filled up again because of
Mhm.
the rising number of COVID cases. That does not bode well for businesses because it's like 2020 lockdown happening all over again. And we have to really brace ourselves and our team
Mhm.
and know what we're going to be doing. And then the latest episode is how to create leverage for your business. And I talk about leveraging finances, meaning debt or equity, and I talk also about leveraging in negotiation, how you can have leverage when you're negotiating on the table with your counterpart. So this is a very good episode for you if you want to learn how to negotiate better and if you want to know how to leverage your finances, if you for example want to invest in stocks, real estate, etc. All right,
So let's dive in. The first question would be from Erica, and she asks, "What are the pros and cons of investing in a franchise?" And I'm not the franchise master, and JM, I'll give you some time to think about it. I'll answer first. What are the pros and cons of investing in a franchise? First, if you're going to invest in a franchise, you're going to need money up front. So that is a con. Because if you're going to be starting up on your own, you don't need to give upfront money, which might be a big amount depending on what brand you want to franchise. If it's already a big, well known franchise chain, of course, you're going to need to pony up more cash upfront. The big pro of buying a franchise is you already have the system, you already have the brand name. All you got to do is apply everything, and it's quite proven to work. So your risk of losing a business or um, having your business failing is a lot lower. The risk is a lot lower. That is the big pro. Another con is there are restrictions, of course. It's not your own brand and it's not your own business. It's a franchise, so you can't do pretty much anything or everything you want to do in it. You have to be agreeable to be under the authority of the brand. That for me is a con, but it depends on the person. Some people will find it a pro because they're just following the parameters or the guidelines. Some people will see it as a con. I personally see it as a con because I am the kind of person who I'm excited to set the direction and pace for the business.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think those are the major pros and cons for me. I'm not gonna make it long. What do you think, JM?
Yeah, I think it you answered it very well. But I think I can just share based on experience. I haven't had experience with franchising yet, but right now I'm currently helping my brother with their startup business. So thinking about starting a business as well, I think with franchise, that one of the pros is that you'll be able to already like skip the most crucial thing, and that is planning everything from scratch. So I think that's one of the pros when it comes to franchise. But the rest you already mentioned with the cons. And if you're someone who's really into the creative side as well, you get some like kind of fulfillment as well when it comes to starting your business from scratch. So as you mentioned earlier, also, Sean, it also like it's very fulfilling for you like knowing the direction where you want to go, right? And I think you mentioned it very well with the pros and cons of franchise. So in short, Sean, are you going to try a franchise business, or for you you're really just into starting a business from scratch?
Probably not gonna go with the franchise route. So, um, it would depend eh. Kasi like if you're a business guy or a business person who really enjoys starting up businesses and who really enjoys doing it, I'm
Mhm.
a really good starter. For me, that's something that I like doing. I'm not really good in maintaining and you know management or maintenance is not my forte. More of
Mhm.
starting up something new, innovating, being a visionary. There are people who are really good in managing and making
Right.
things grow little by little, and then there are people who are really good with the emotional side of things, dealing
Mhm.
with relationships and making people feel like they are a part of something big in their family. There's different kinds of leaders, different kinds of ways in doing things. For me, I am a starter kind, a visionary kind, and if ever I'm gonna do a franchise, it would be because I want to invest my money somewhere that's not that risky. That
Right.
would probably be the reason why, not because I want another business. If I want another business, I would start one. That's
Mhm.
that's what I think I would do. How about you? Would you, invest in one?
You know what? I had an opportunity during the pandemic to choose this franchise business, but I said to myself and to that friend that I'm not really into this kind of business. So I still want to also like start things from scratch and see like where it's going to go. So I really need that like freedom in terms of work or business as well.
Right, right, right. So same here, same boat. We have a follow-up question from Erica. Should I buy a franchise or start my own business? Well, I guess the short answer to that is based on what I mentioned earlier, weigh the pros and cons for you. Because if you're not going to enjoy being under certain parameters that you can't wiggle out of, because that's going to void the franchise contract, and sayang naman yung binayad mo, then don't start a franchise. But if you're the type of person who wants to minimize risk, kahit na yung upside di ganun ka laki and you have to wait a long time, but the risk is low because you know that it's gonna work and you're gonna get your ROI 3 to 5 years from now, then I don't see why not. What is the best franchise in the country? Oh no. Magpo-plug ba tayo dito?
Oh, ako, Sean. Sige, makikinig ako sa'yo dyan. What's your
Well,
answer?
um, I reserve the right to ano. Hindi, I think that we have a lot. I think we have a lot, and my honest answer for you, Erica, would be it would depend on what you love to do. It would depend on what you love to do. Even with franchise, marami kasing iba-ibang klaseng business eh. And at the core, it's still a business. So for example, if you like doing pharmaceutical, you love to be in the pharmaceutical industry. You like helping people by prescribing drugs, helping them to get better. Definitely the generics pharmacy, one of the best franchises out there for that. If you're into the food business, sobrang dami. We can start with the two most popular uh, fast food chains out there, which is Jollibee and McDonald's. There's just so many franchises out there. And if you want to play it, medyo capital tight ka, it could be Master Shomai or could be
Mm.
one of the food kiosks that you can put up in the MRT or malls. Potato Corner, definitely one of the most popular. But all of these franchises that I'm mentioning, it wouldn't be the best for you if you're not passionate about that business. Because you can't start a business, even if it's a franchise business, plainly and strictly just because of the money. I believe there has to be some heart in it from the entrepreneur.
Mhm. Yeah. I love
What do
how
you
you
think?
how you answer that, Sean. Kasi parang you answer that question by asking Erica first or whoever is listening right now also. Like the first thing that you should ask yourself is what's your interest? That's
Mhm.
very important what you said, where your heart is, your passion is, your gifts, your skills, and which franchise can really connect with. And I think, yeah, how much are you willing to invest and really research about this franchise as well. I think those three are very important.
Yeah. This is a very interesting question, this next one. And I'll let you be the one to answer it first, if you don't mind, Elaine. And it's very interesting now. So Erica asks, should my first business be a franchise?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And should your first business be a franchise? I think, wow, it really entails a lot for you to decide if your first business should be a franchise. You really need like to study also if it's something that's going to benefit other people in terms of having it as a franchise.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure, Sean, like for you, do you think your first business should be a franchise? Because for me, I think there are a lot of elements that you need to like research and study about it if your first business should be a franchise.
For me, the my opinion here is it would depend
Mhm.
on your capital. If you have the
Mhm.
capital to start a franchise and you want to learn the systems behind that franchise, I don't think I don't think you have any downside to that
Mhm.
because the franchises do what they do and how they do it, because they already kind of studied the system, the economy, the location where you're going to be putting it up. They already have their hiring process, their logistics, making sure that the food or supply arrives in time, na hindi siya agad mapapanis or mag-expire. So, if you want to learn how the franchises do it, maybe in hopes of starting your own business someday, I don't think there's a downside if you have the capital
Mhm.
to pony up to buy a franchise. But if you don't, then you would have to start your own. That's really it. Also, I think naman there's an upside in starting your own business before you get into a franchise, and that is knowing now what kind of franchise you want to be in, because you have more opinions about what kind of business you want to be in. I've known some entrepreneurs who started businesses na hindi naman siya nag-fail. Medyo kumikita naman eh. But they found out they weren't passionate about it. And then they realized what aspects of the business they weren't passionate about. For example, legal, they don't like doing that. Accounting, they don't like doing that. Minsan masaklap pakinggan no, that you don't want to do accounting and you're a businessman because that's your profit and loss statement. But not all people are passionate about accounting. I would say I'm not passionate about accounting. My
Mhm.
wife does our finances really well and she knows the ins and outs and she's really good at it. So I let her do it. Looking at the financial sheet is not something that I like doing. I would rather close more deals, innovate about more products or services we can offer to the client, and spend more time with the clients that we have. So again, it depends on what you would like to do,
Yeah.
and that you would find that out if you start your own business, and then you would be able to choose a franchise better. So either way works. It depends on where you are right now as an entrepreneur in life.
Yeah.
The follow-up question to that is, how can I buy a franchise? Actually, this is an easy question. Search in Google. A lot of them are already highlighting what you need. I know DGP it was a client of mine. And in their website, nandun na lahat. Nakalista na kung anong kailangan mo to be a franchisee. So I believe if you want a franchise, for example, the big fast food chains such as Jollibee or McDonald's, all you need to do is go in their website, download the brochure or inquire, and they'll let you know how much it will be and what they will require from you in terms of identification, proof of billing or residence, etc. Should I franchise my business? Now this is interesting.
Oh, okay. I think, Sean, that's my answer from the previous one, from the previous question.
I think if you should franchise your I think one of the biggest decision points if you want to franchise your business would be, can you scale it out in such a way that the brand will not diminish? Kasi yun yung nagiging problema ng maraming brands na nagpa-franchise. Yes, they get scale. Umabot sila ng Visayas, umabot sila ng Mindanao. The brand is nagiging mas masikat siya. It's getting better known, but the problem is the controls are not put into place that well because you weren't able to scale your internal processes and manpower well. Nag-franchise out ka nga sa Visayas, wala ka namang tao dun to
Yeah.
control what the franchisees are doing with the brand, where they're getting their suppliers from. I know a couple of franchises who have struggled and are really struggling, especially now during the pandemic, because they weren't able to control their franchisees. Iba-iba yung kinukuha ang supplier ng mga franchisee, hindi na doon sa tamang agreed upon supplier. And they weren't able to control that kasi they scaled very fast eh.
Mhm.
Hinayaan nila. It's like going into war, you advance so fast that your supply troops cannot get to you in time. You run out of bullets, you run out of food. Exactly what happened to Napoleon when he was invading Russia. That's why they lost and they had to back out. That's exactly what happens when you let your business be franchised by others, but you don't have the internal processes and manpower to support it.
Mhm.
So, those are the decision points you need to check.
Mhm. Sean, actually, I love the questions of Erica about franchise. And parang the question also that I've been thinking about right now, since we're talking about franchise as a business, what is the wisest decision to make during a pandemic when it comes to starting a business? Parang, yun nga, di ba, should you choose a franchise business since everything is already there? Or should you start with something talaga na hindi franchise as your first business? So parang I'm just having those thoughts as well while reading the questions of Erica.
For me, ang opinion ko about that, no, is this pandemic has allowed us to step back and kind of see things in a way where it's blank. And
Mm,
I don't mean blank na zero or all that's na siya, but I mean blank in a way that everything can be restarted. So
mm,
franchises are also struggling right now. I know that Jollibee, Max's, all of the foods businesses are struggling, and
yeah.
hospitals are also struggling because now yung mga tao na nagpapa-check up,
Mhm.
hindi na sila magpapa-check up kasi risky pumunta sa hospital. So they have a lot of COVID patients, right? Because they kind of don't have a choice, right? But to already check in the hospital if they're feeling really bad. But everything's at a reset point. That's my
Yeah.
opinion. So even the franchises,
Mhm.
they're at the reset point. So if you can franchise a business or a brand that's really killing it, they're really making a lot of money, that'd be great. But a lot of those businesses are actually startups now. They're
Right.
actually e-commerce startups, mom and pop shops that have started digitizing their products or services,
Mhm.
and they're not yet allowing their business to be franchised.
Yeah.
So actually, the next question is, um, how should I turn my small business into a franchise? Directly correlated siya dun sa question na you asked earlier.
Yeah.
And this is very tough. For me,
Mm,
you have to hire a franchise consultant talaga before you are able to turn your business into a franchise.
mhm.
It's good for scale, but again, you have to think of every little detail because if you're the brand franchising out, you have to control the integrity of the brand.
Yeah.
That means processes in place, systems in place, people in place. So, yan ang ano natin. Medyo mahirap yung mga tanong ni Erica,
Oo
no?
nga eh.
Yung
Nafi-feel ko
next
talaga eh, about
Oo,
franchise yung gusto niya
about
man.
franchise. Medyo ano, no, medyo nano-nosebleed rin ako. Honestly, I have no experience franchising my business or buying a franchise, but I'm just sharing here everything that I know about it based on research, clients that I have that own a franchise
Mhm.
or are franchising out their business.
Yeah.
Her next question is, how much does it cost to franchise my business? I have to be honest here, I have no idea. I would assume it would cost somewhere between 1 to 5 million, maybe even 10
Mm,
million if you're pretty big. Medyo exage na siguro yung 10 million, no? But maybe more or less 3 to 5 million, maybe, because you need to go to the IP or the intellectual property office, make sure your brand is protected, your systems are in place, and for you to be able to know the systems, know the processes you need in place, you need a consultant, so you need to pay for the consultant, you need HR, you need an office, so medyo magastos din siya.
yeah.
This one is repeat. Will I earn more profits through franchising my business? Hmm. If you do it right. If you do it right. For me, if you protect you can earn more profits naman kagad eh. By franchising it out, tapos ang bilis ng rollout mo,
Mhm.
nakapag-penetrate ka kagad ng Visayas, Mindanao, or nakapag-penetrate ka kagad ng international. But the problem is, if you don't protect the brand, it's gonna have a bad reputation. And the sprint will be just that. It's just a sprint, and then you're tired and you can't run anymore. So the business will lose momentum, it will lose profits long term. And For me kasi, if you're gonna do business, it's a marathon eh. Long term siya eh.
Mm,
Diba? Doing it as a sprint, parang medyo hindi worth it. So,
yeah.
what do you think, JM?
I'll let you answer the questions about franchise, Sean.
Sige, no problem. We're done with it. We're done with it. And I just wanna say thank you to Patrick for telling me na nakamute ako kanina sa Discord.
Ah,
So, was able to unmute naman kagad 8:05 p.m. when he
thanks,
said that.
Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick, for that. We have MJ, and her question is: I heard logistics businesses are not advisable in our country because of the traffic. Would it be advisable to engage in this business this pandemic? What do you think?
You know what? I have a friend who is recently actually thinking about starting a logistic business.
Really?
So, yeah. So I'm not really sure if it's advisable to engage to this business. But do you think, Sean, this is another question from this question, okay?
Mhm.
Maybe just to support also the question from MJ. Like, right now, since a lot of people are also doing online shopping and stuff like that,
Yeah.
is it also like one of the factors that people can think about when starting any like logistic business? Kasi di ba parang online nga eh, online everything. So,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think that there are a lot of startups already today
Mm-hmm.
that have gone into the logistics industry,
Yeah.
but a lot of them are in Metro Manila. So
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the provincial areas, I think there's still huge opportunity to start logistics businesses there. Um, it's tough to compete with the giants here, especially kasi alam naman natin medyo monopoly dito si Grab, no? Um, that's gonna be tough. Those are the factors playing in my mind as an entrepreneur, questioning myself if ever I'm gonna go and start a logistics company. Those are the things that I would be looking at. And ang labanan sa logistics ngayon would be the technology.
Yeah.
So, would you have the funding needed to start the technology and make it cutting edge, or create new
Mm-hmm.
technology that would be able to beat whatever Grab or Lala Move or all of these other logistics company own already? I don't think ang labanan would be the manpower or the vehicle. That's no longer the case. You can already acquire manpower or vehicles at a very reasonable price. It's the technology where the battle is in. So even with stemming from MJ's question about the traffic I think is not much of a concern now. Kasi
Yeah.
halos wala naman traffic na ngayon eh.
Right.
But yeah, but it's the technology talaga. We have to we have to check that.
Yeah. So what I got from you is important. The important thing is about the technology. If you can offer something new or something more updated, and at the same time, where you'll start your logistic business. So what you mentioned, Sean, it's I you think it's better also if you'll be in the provincial areas instead here in Metro Manila.
Yeah, yeah. JM, I think sa Discord naka-mute ka pala. You have to unmute your mic.
Ah, okay. So I also need to unmute there. Okay.
Yeah, there you
Sorry,
go.
guys.
Perfect.
There.
All right. The next question is from MJ still. Is it also better to target SME and MSMEs for this type of business? For the logistics business, no?
hmm hmm
What's your opinion on that, JM?
I think both. But yeah, it depends also on your goal. There are a lot of SMEs as well who are in need of better options when it comes to logistics. So yeah, so that's for me. But Sean, you're the expert here. I'm here to learn from you as well.
Well, I think that let's first segment them well. The SME and MSME. Ang susunod na sa kanila would be the enterprise level clients, which is the big
Mm-hmm.
players na sila Procter and Gamble, Unilever. They most probably have already their logistics systems in place. So I think that it is pretty much the only target you
Mm-hmm.
can target, no? Kasi if you're gonna be starting pa lang, it has to be the SMEs and the MSMEs. And they're the majority of the demand now as well. I mean, you see all of these sellers on Lazada or Shopee or native websites or Shopify, they are hiring logistic companies left and right, and they're usually not brand loyal pa. They're brand agnostic pa.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever can provide the cheapest, best,
Yeah.
and most reliable rate, that's where they're gonna go for. And so I don't think that the logistics for non-food na MSME or SMEs
Mm-hmm.
is dominated that well yet. I don't think that a lot of online sellers are using Grab. I think there's using a lot. Whoever
Yeah.
would be cheaper, faster, more reliable. I think that's what they're using. So
Right.
definitely, there's no other target. The enterprise market is gonna be super tough for you. Na for me, not worth it to go for the enterprise level market. Just target the SMEs and the MSMEs. Would it be better to amplify the services in Metro
Mm-hmm.
Manila first or cater to three regions agad?
Louis
I
Vuitton.
yeah, I would I would take this from my answer earlier where the competition is less. So it has to be on the provincial areas. Could be Luzon, Visayas, or Mindanao, but
Yeah.
not Metro Manila. And the reason behind that is to just test it out first.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi if you're gonna scale it to nationwide first, that means you have very deep pockets. That means you have a lot of capital to be able to compete, to be able to fund mistakes. There's a book called The Lean Startup by Eric Rice, and I mentioned this in our last Leadership Stack Live, where he says you can minimize your risk by learning from a fast feedback loop. First, create the minimum viable product. Ibig sabihin, kung ano yung pinakamababang kailangan mong gastusan
Mm-hmm.
para mag-start ng business mo, yun na muna. Kung bicycle lang, mag-bicycle ka muna. Kung kailangan ikaw mismo yung mag-take ng order at mag-deliver, do
Mm-hmm.
that. Just to see if you're gonna have customers. Because the number one thing about the business is not the idea, it's not even the capital, it's the customer. If you don't have a customer, you don't have a business. So you have to make sure you have a customer. Do it the lean startup way, minimize your risk, and first use a minimum viable product, learn, and then you can roll it out to the major cities, and then maybe roll it out to the entire three major regions.
Yeah. What I got from you, Sean, is it's important to start small and start simple. And from there, if you need to like improve things, 'di ba? Parang you can improve while your business is growing as well.
Yep, yep, that's right. Next question from MJ. Do you have experience with
With
real
real
estate?
estate.
Okay, is it okay to proceed with this type of business as well in this pandemic if we're aiming for sale? Oh, what about leasing out? I
If
don't have a lot of experience in real estate.
mm-hmm.
How about you, JM?
I have a lot of friends who are into real estate also. And during this pandemic, napansin ko lang din na halo kasi there are mixed kind of people. So some people, they're taking advantage of the pandemic and they are really investing into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it will really depend on the kind of real estate that you have. And sinabi niya, what about leasing out properties? So I think the same thing. It's really hard nowadays, Sean, when it comes to any kind of businesses, I think, in general.
Yeah.
But when it comes to leasing out properties, I think it's still a good business when it comes to real estate. There are still a lot of people, especially there are a lot of Chinese, sorry, right?
Mhm.
Chinese people who are
Yeah.
coming back here in the Philippines, actually, even
Yeah.
recently,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
amidst of the pandemic. And I have friends who are renting out as well their properties for them. So
Yeah.
I think there's a market pa rin naman. Yeah.
Right. Right. I I have made an investment during the pandemic for the future of SEO Hacker. So we were able to, well, the deal has not been yet fully closed, but we were able to be awarded now with the property. For that is to build the headquarters of SEO Hacker in the
Mm.
next 3 to 5 years. So it's a
Mhm.
blank lot that we were able to buy, not far from here, maybe 5 minute drive. Still in BF Paranaque because I don't wanna commute that far to work or drive that far to work. Now, that's something that I really don't want to do, and that saves me a lot of time to innovate, create more stuff for my clients and my team.
Mhm.
And but I don't flip properties. I don't lease out properties as well. I do think that there are a lot of people who are finding it hard to rent out or lease out their property kasi sa Aguirre pa lang which is a
Mhm.
major commercial road here in BF Paranaque, you would see a lot of houses and commercial properties for
Mm.
lease, for sale. Talagang it's hard and no
Yeah.
one's no one's biting it. Like it's
Mhm.
been for lease for the last year. And it
Mhm.
used to be a big business. So I think it's tough right now
Mhm.
if you're in the leasing business. But if you're planning to chomp up really good real estate, I think this might be the time because there are a lot of people selling property because they need money. So
Yeah.
that's my opinion. And
Yeah.
that's why I also invested. Tsaka tapos na yung Skyway, so
Mm.
tataas ang value ng property pretty much everywhere. I know here in BF, definitely it's gonna increase. I mean,
Mm.
from here to Cubao used to take us an hour and a half. Now it's 40 minutes from my house
Wow.
to my in-laws.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. It's amazing what the new Skyway has done. Now, we'll test it out after the pandemic. Baka naman nagsa-stuck din doon sa taas, But right now, I'm pretty darn happy about the
Mhm.
how the Skyway has cut my commute time from our house to my in-laws.
Mhm.
Next question is from Lara Jean LJ. How do you start and maintain brand awareness for your business? Ayan. Okay. Kayang-kaya mo na to, JM.
Kayang-kaya mo to, Sean. I believe in you. But I think right now, 'di ba, since everyone is online, so yeah, social media, make sure to take advantage of social media as well for brand awareness for your business. And it actually depends also on your business. Like for instance, if you're into services as well, I think starting a podcast, 'di ba, Sean? Or
Yeah,
anything that will also give value to other people will be a very great way for you to start and maintain brand awareness for your business. So I think anything that will really create an avenue for you to give value to other people. Okay, so it's not just about brand awareness, but it's really about the motivation and the intention behind it as well.
that's really good. One of the things that my wife mentioned kanina lang that she learned from John Maxwell um, is don't build your brand, get good at what you do, which I think is a really good insight.
Right.
If Because even if you pay for advertisement for brand awareness and reach or engagement on
Mm.
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you can burn all of this ad money, but if your product or service is not that great, it will
Yeah.
not go far. In fact, what you're doing, marketing and advertising, if you're marketing and advertising a bad product or service, then it will catalyze the destruction of that business. It will catalyze the failure of that business. Papabilisin niya. But if
Mhm.
the product or service is good, then it will catalyze the growth of that business. And that's good branding and awareness for you. So before you spend anything on advertising or marketing, make sure that you spend a lot of time, effort, and money on improving your business, your process, your products, your service, your support, whatever it is, improve that first. And then you can spend money on advertising on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or
Mhm.
wherever you plan to market your product or service to.
Yeah. I love that, Sean, how you answer that, because I think when people will see the value and the quality of your product or service, then, di ba, through word of mouth, that's also one of
Mm,
the best things as well that you can have in terms of your brand, brand awareness, yung
yeah.
testimonials talaga ng people who will try your product or service.
Yeah. Yep,
Mhm.
that's true. So, Brand, we have an episode actually on the Leadership Stack podcast that talks about word of mouth marketing and why it's still the best form of marketing. It's free. It
Right.
hinges on the integrity of the person sharing about your product or service. I mean, hands down, if you can get word of mouth marketing for your business or brand, that's the best. Next question from LJ. How can a startup entrepreneur manage his or her cash flow? Paano nga ba to, JM?
Sa'yo ako makikinig, Sean. I've actually been also, what do you call this, into freelance work for more than 10 years. And it's just during the pandemic that I'm actually starting to learn more about being a startup entrepreneur. So I think with this question, I will let Sean answer this because I also want to learn from him.
Sure, I'll try my best. I think that cash flow is all about awareness. If you're aware that you're making more than you're spending, you have positive cash flow. If you're aware that you're spending more than you're making, you have negative cash flow. We call that bleeding out. A business is likened to the human body. Yung mga managers or leaders, the C-level executives, CEO, COO, CFO, we call them the head. Right? They're the heads of the company. The arms and legs, usually these are the grassroots team players. The heart would be the salespeople. The mind would be the R&D or research and development. They're the brains. Why do we call the salespeople the heart? Because it's the one that pumps blood. Blood is cash flow. Whenever salespeople make a sale, they inject positive cash flow in the business. And that's why we say kung negative yung cash flow, meaning um, expenses is greater than revenue, we say that the business is bleeding out. That's the term we use. And then we write it in the ledger with a red ball pen to, I don't know, make it look like blood or whatever, right? So that's the analogy that we have for a business. You have to stop the bleeding because if it goes on, then what happens? It would die. That's the end result. So you have cash flow is the most important thing is having an awareness. Are you positive
Mhm.
or negative this month? If you're negative, how can you turn that to become positive? And I think the
Mhm.
most important thing about managing a business is making sure you have positive cash flow month on month.
Mhm.
So
So,
yeah,
mhm.
that's it.
Sean, just to add to that, kung yung nakuha ko sa'yo, Sir Sean, it's important that you really see it. So I think with someone who's just starting it, have an Excel sheet about everything, 'di ba? Yung ano, coming in and out na expenses, and for kasi nasabi mo awareness. So you won't be able to be aware of things unless you write them down or you record them.
That's
So,
good.
Sir Sean, okay na ba yung sagot ko as
Very
a
good.
startup?
Naiwan ko yon. Yes, that is a very good answer. As simple as an Excel sheet, track it. Up to today, I use an Excel sheet actually. So that is one of the best answers about managing cash flow. Just use an Excel sheet. That works. Next question, how do you build and foster the right company culture? Ayan, ito na tayo sa medyo madugong part ulit. Paano nga ba?
Yeah, Sir Sean, sige ako muna.
Sean na lang, ko naman. Ngayon mo lang sinasir.
Sir talaga. Oo, kasi I've been learning a lot from you, Sean. So, yeah, so I think it really starts on the company's mission and vision. And kung ano ba yung importante na values of the company as well. So I think the foundation itself is very crucial in order for you to really have that map. 'Di ba? Kasi
Mm.
kung wala kang roadmap about the company's culture and even values, then you won't be able to really lead your people and build from the foundation that you already have. So I think Sean will be able to say more about this.
Company culture, it's usually a very elusive topic. You hear a lot of people talking about culture and company culture, and it's something that you feel, you smell kind of when you enter a place. You just
Mm,
know they're different. What's different about them? The culture, but you can't really say what that is. And how to build a culture is two ways. Number one, you just let it happen. Culture will happen whether you are intentional about it or not. And oftentimes, the result of that first way is it is a culture that you would not like.
yeah.
There's toxicity, bureaucracy, red tape, politics, you name it. The second way of building culture is you build it intentionally. When you try to form culture intentionally, how that looks like is you put processes in place. Culture can be defined as how we do things. That's how it can be defined. How we do things is our culture. So it's
Mm,
usually started through processes. How SEO Hacker, for example, has built the culture is we make sure that everyone knows the core values, everyone knows the vision, everyone knows the mission. And what I mean by knows is not just memorizing them, but knowing them on a deep level. Why we have them, why it's important for your work, what the vision has to do with your day to day activities. We define that. We take the time to define these things where we cannot put it as an ROI in our balance sheet na, oh, dinefine
mm,
natin kaya may ROI tayo. That's not the case, because when you do these things, and the world calls it soft skills or soft things in a business, there's no direct return on investment, such as when making a sale, or such as when running an ad and checking how many views you got, how many clicks you got, how many add to carts you got. It's not measurable in numbers. But if you're not intentional about that culture, it will make your company a place that you wouldn't want to work in sometime in the future. So I think that the cost is great about not being intentional. And the benefits are
mhm.
huge when you're
Yeah.
intentional, because you attract talent and people who are just the kinds of people you want in your team. And one of
Mhm,
the things that you could also do is make sure that you are getting them at a rate that is fair. Kasi there's a lot of piracy in the market eh. Sometimes other companies would just pirate some of your people. That's tough. That's a tough game to play. And we don't want to play in that game. And what we do, we just build a culture where people like us would really want to work in there. That way, we don't need to compete in the salary market, because no amount of salary will pay for how people feel when they're in my team.
mhm. Sean, I have an additional question here for you. Like
Go ahead.
something practical, maybe something practical that we can give LJ as well. Like for SEO hacker, did it help? Like for instance, did you have like what do you call this? Trainings or
Mhm.
group sessions, or let's say like may outings ba kayo, or
Mm.
something like that, just so that everyone will have a close bonding, and you
Yeah.
will get to know each other and even encourage each other about the company culture.
I have to tackle that's a really good question, by the way, and I have to tackle it one by one. How we build the culture is we started from day one. So when
Mm-hmm.
we started from day negative six or
Mm.
negative six, kasi yung hiring process pa lang namin mahaba eh. It's a six-step hiring process, and we have that recorded on a podcast episode as well on Spotify. And only 5% ever gets to pass the hiring process. So you can
Wow.
imagine, yeah, out of 20 people,
Mm-hmm.
one gets hired. And we hired like 3 months pipeline before we are able to successfully hire someone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that easy, it's not that fast. And at the get-go, they realize that, oh, it's a different kind of culture that I'm gonna get into. So what with that, the moment they get hired, they go through an onboarding process. And nandun
Mm-hmm.
sa onboarding process na yun, lahat. Who the company is, history, why we have these protocols in place in the office pre-pandemic. Nasa office pa kami. We also lay out the definitions of each core value that we have. For example, grit is one of our core values, and we say that the world doesn't owe you anything. And when you make a mistake, don't quit. Get up. That's who we are. If you're not that, you shouldn't be playing in our team. So we make sure that we address all of these things. Double voice. Oh, sorry, my double voice YouTube. Um,
Huge.
JM, can you check if you
Mm-hmm.
get that coming from you? Maybe
Um,
mute the mic first.
should I mute the
I'll
one from
try doing that.
Discord or StreamYard?
I'll try the one from StreamYard. Let's see. Hello, hello. Yeah, the echo.
Is this better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Let's see. Hello, hello. There we go. Yeah, so maybe if I'm speaking, mute, and then yeah. Ako rin, I'll do that. I'll do it that
Sure.
way. So yeah, we have outings. We used to have outings sa SEO Hacker. In fact, you'll see some videos in our jobs portal. We're hiring, by the way, still. So if you want to apply, SEOhacker.services/jobs, you'll find the video of our past outing there. Now, we haven't had our outing since the lockdowns in the pandemic because it's too dangerous. And in fact, di nga ako nagpapapasok ng tao sa office eh. Because I can't stomach it if we lose another team player because of me. We have lost someone, not because nagpapasok ako, but sa family, nagkaroon ng case yung family member nahawaan, we lost someone from the team. And it's that kind of tragedy. I would never want to be the one who is the cause or the reason kaya nagkasakit yung tao, or you know, I would never be the reason why. So I never asked them to come in the office, and I would never ask also people to go to an outing. I think an outing does a lot, but it's a one-time thing, like once a year, maybe twice a year. Culture is not a one-time or two-time thing. It is something that you live and breathe every day. And for us to be able to reinforce that after the hiring process and after the onboarding, which is already a very, very colossal way on how we inject the SEO hacker culture to everyone who is playing in the team, we also have meetings every week. So we have our town hall meeting every Monday, make sure everyone's there. We update them about the happenings in the company. So the sales, the accounts we renewed, some of the rankings of our clients we also mentioned there, what which one needs to be worked on, and then we break it down to teams. So even on a per team level, we have our meetings. Like my brother, who is the head of operations, meets with the development team, the writing team. I meet with all of the SEO specialists. So we make sure that the culture and relationship, usually kasi when you have a team outing, it's less about the culture and more about the relationships being built eh. So the relationship is intact because we meet every week, we talk every week, and we don't talk all about work. Even though we do it on working hours, which the company pays us for me, building that relationship is also part of work because that strengthens the team. So that's how we do it in SEO Hacker.
Pwede ba mag-apply dyan, Sean?
Pwede, matagal lang yung hiring process.
Oo nga, grabe 5%, right?
5%. So everyone who comes up to me in the final interview, I congratulate them already because 95% really don't make it to me. Yeah,
So every yeah.
I'm more
So
a formality.
wow, let's invite everyone, Sean, to those who think that they have the right, 'di ba? Na ano bang hinahanap nyo sa SEO hacker? They can apply through your website. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They can apply from there, and we get a lot of applications, naman. But during the hiring process, that's when they know how much for example, how much the starting salary is. We might be notorious for this because we don't we pay only the minimum wage for everyone who wants to work in SEO Hacker. And we have a reason for that. It's not because we're cheap. It's not because we cannot pay well, but it's because we don't like hiring mercenaries, people who are after the money. If they're after the money, as soon as they find a better opportunity with more money in it, guess what? They'll up and leave. And it's hard for us to grow with mercenaries. I know a lot of other companies who do it that way. They'll just offer bigger, better packages. We're not after those kinds of people. We're after people who are really passionate about SEO Hacker, what we do, who really want to work with us, who really want to learn and grow, who they are as leaders. I always say SEO Hacker is actually a leadership institute. We just happen to do digital marketing really well. So those are the kinds of people we want to attract. And that minimum wage paywall, it's a paywall, already filters all of the mercenaries out. And only those who are dedicated to work with us are let inside the door.
Oh. So Sean, if there is someone who's listening and he or she thinks, 'di ba, na siya yung na-describe mo. So,
Definitely start applying.
yes, apply na.
We have a couple more questions, which is very very interesting. Na ang dami nating questions ngayon. Bilis, no? Magna-9 na. Ang
Yeah.
dami pa natin tanong. We have one from Patrick. In your experience, how long does it usually take to establish your business or startup from an idea? Sa experience mo daw, JM.
Sa experience ko, okay. I think this is a very, what do you call this? I can really relate to this question because since the pandemic, that's when I started to try to establish my business, and it's about coaching. So I can't say the exact like length on how or like the length of time wherein you can establish your business or your startup, but I think you really need to take time to plan it. So plan it before executing it. Do your own study, your research, and take into consideration as well. Like for instance, do you need a website for it, or how are you going to market yourself, and all of those things. So I think ano lang, parang more or less it depends kasi on your business or your startup. Yeah, startup from an idea. But for me, since last year and while going through my online training as well, I already started actually planning my business. So imagine I started siguro mga July last year, and then I plan, execute. And it's just during this time as well that I am slowly but surely, yung sinabi mo, Sean, I like that na start small and start simple. So slowly, I've been starting to execute those plans already during this time of the year. So it will really depend, but I think, Sean, from your experience, you can more or less answer this question.
That's really good. That's really good insight. And my answer to this is it really depends on what kind of entrepreneur you are. There are different kinds of people with different kinds of behavior. There's the DISC spectrum in terms of personality trait: dominant, influential, steady, and corrective. Jason Law teaches workshops about this and has seminars about this. I attended the his seminar. I attended Jason's seminar. It's called Unique. A really good seminar and workshop, by the way. Highly recommended. And I attended John Maxwell, the disc personality as well. And what I can say is it depends on your personality. I'm a highly dominant trait personality. I scored an extremely high score in D, and then my score in the ISC is just 1, 2, and 1, respectively. So, medyo go, go, go ako. Start, start, start. Shoot, medyo ano ako eh, shoot first and then aim later. But with the kind of strategy that, or with the kind of personality that I have, it is critical for me to have the right team players around me. I will never be able to make it on my own. The SEO hacker team is a critical part of my success because I am a shoot first and aim later kind of guy. The good thing about that kind of personality trait that I have is I keep things moving. Because if you're the steady or corrective personality or the influential personality as well, and if you don't have much of the dominant personality in you, what happens is you overthink things, and or you just would like to have a good time. Mga I personality always have to have fun. So the positive trait naman sa akin is I always want to keep things moving. And with me, with that kind of personality, it's pretty fast how I establish businesses. For example, aquascape.ph, which is a business I established during the pandemic sometime July last year, I think. That is a business that just came up. And that's because I started this aquascaping hobby. If you notice, there's aquariums behind me, or if you've been an avid watcher in YouTube, I have aquariums at home. And I couldn't find the right place to get these aquatic plants. It's so difficult. And then I researched about them. Wala silang street names or common names. They all have scientific names. Hygrophila, Corymbosa stricta, and oh my gosh, ang haba nung names ng plants. Okay, scientific names talaga siya. So when I searched in Google, wala akong mahanap. And so what I said is, all right, I got some suppliers, finally found some. I'm gonna start a website and start selling them because I grow them anyway, and then I have to trim them, and sometimes I just have to throw them because they're overgrown. Sayang. So I wanted to start selling some, and so I put up this website. We applied SEO to it. Thank God for the SEO hacker team. Went up super fast within a month. We're already ranking number one. So if you search for any of those plants na napakahirap ang pangalan, number one na si aquascape.ph. We're not spending anything on ads. We're not marketing it on social media. I had it stopped even if my team wanted to market it on social media. And that's because I couldn't have the time to just go and cut and pack and right? Because it's in my house. The plants are in my house. Wala akong tao. Ako mismo yung gumagawa nun. I would rather spend that time interfacing with my team, talking with clients, or creating PowerPoint presentations for my trainings and talks within my team and for clients as well. So that business started just like that, pretty fast. So it depends on your personality. So for some people, medyo matagal. They want to flesh out all of the nitty-gritty details first. Kailangan malaman ko muna, gagastos ba talaga yung target market ko? Ito ba talaga yung area na gusto ko? So, medyo tumatagal dahil doon. Yeah,
I
but
love
for me,
that. Mm-mm.
the length of time, it's not that important eh. What's more important is when you establish the business, find your customers, make sure your cash flow is positive. That for me is the most important thing. Wag mo iwanan na negative yung cash flow mo. Burn ka lang ng burn. A lot of businesses, by the way, are like that. So don't maybe you're surprised, bakit sinasabi ni Sean to eh? Obvious naman na dapat positive in cash flow. Actually, maraming business na may funding, na may investor, nahayaan nilang mag-negative sila for a long, long period of time until, of course, the company shuts down and fail. And I personally know some businesses like that. Kumuha ng funding, some millions, and then they wrote themselves huge checks in terms of their salary as the founder CEO, and they cannibalize their own baby, their own business that way. So don't do that. You have to sacrifice for that baby to grow and mature. Next question, in an online business or services like SEO Hacker, what is the payment process or terms like for your customers?
Mm-hmm.
How do they pay? Okay. I'm gonna answer because since SEO Hacker, I'll answer it first. Well, usually our clients would just do bank deposit. Easy for us. We send them the invoice. In the invoice, nandun na yung bank namin na bank account number and name, and they just do bank deposit. There are some clients who are super bait. They give us the post-dated checks. We really appreciate and love those clients, by the way. And I have to mention them here. Elid, they're a company in San Juan, and they do all of the security uh, technology behind buildings in BGC, some of the five-star hotels out there, integrated technology from the CCTV, parking to hotel locks, all integrated in one place. It's amazing what they're doing, and they pay post-dated checks. So I love that client. I love what they're doing. And there are some clients who also pay via PayPal. There are also some clients who pay via wire transfer. So marami kaming iba-ibang way na binabayaran ng clients. Yung PayPal namin, I don't know why they pay via PayPal. Honestly, they're a Philippine-based company. They can easily pay via bank deposit, but they'd rather pay via PayPal. Clients who pay us via wire transfer are our clients from China. So it really varies. No? But whatever it is, what's important is you get paid. You make sure you get paid, because if you don't get paid, that's a loss. And you're increasing your chances of bleeding out. How
I
about you,
agree.
JM? Any thoughts?
I agree with you, Sean. And this is specifically for online businesses or services. So, I think for me also, it's mine is online services, and for now, I have what do you call this? Online banking or PayPal just for those outside the Philippines for international clients. But to those from the Philippines, it's either through online banking or through GCash. So those are just the three options. But some also for online businesses, they also have Paymaya. So yeah, there are a lot of actually options right now for online businesses. Yeah. Pero gusto ko yung sinabi mo, Sean, basta mabayaran ka, yun ang importante.
Tama yan. It's funny that I have to mention that. Maybe some of you guys are wondering na, ba't kailangan sabihin ni Sean na basta mabayaran ka? There are some business owners kasi na sobrang bait. Oo lang, okay lang sila ng okay. Sige, okay lang, huwag mo na bayaran. Guys, kayong mamihasa ng ganon, kailangan kayong mabayaran because you delivered value. You should be paid for that value. Otherwise, it's your baby, it's your business that's going to suffer. Because that's the lifeblood. Again, lifeblood yan ng business mo. Next question from Patrick. And sorry guys, we're going over time. I hope you're still loving it and learning a lot from this. But if not, you guys could always tune out. I hope you don't, but it's past 9 p.m. and I know we rarely go over time. Next question from Patrick. What are the tools or apps that have been very helpful to you with regards to managing your receivables? What we use is Freshbooks. It's a very widely known software that you pay every month, and it's cloud-based, so online siya. What I love about it, everything's there. It's for billing clients talaga. You put the client name or contact and their email address. They have the option to pay via PayPal. may follow up then. So when the client doesn't pay, it automatically follows up on intervals that you also set. So for example, the next 3 days, magfa-follow up siya. Every day na, hey, overdue na tong statement mo. That's what I love about it. But does that work? Not all the time. That's why our account managers still have to have really good relationships with their clients because they call them, they text them. Sometimes they have to send a gift no, to the company owner para naman mag-release na ng check. So it's about relationships. At the end of the day, business is about people. It's not just about money. No. How about you, JM? Anything you use for your billings?
I love how you answer that. More than the tools and apps, it's the relationships, Sean. And I agree with that. Kasi ako, nagpa-follow up lang ako through text, through email. And I think sa PayPal also, they have this tool wherein you can send your invoice to a client also. But Sean, yung question ko, is there like an app or a tool that's free to those who are just starting their business that you can give like an idea?
When when I was starting out, how I build clients would be through PDF and I send it out to them by email manually. So unfortunately, no, because when you send out an invoice, there's a certain format para madali sa client makita, 'di ba? Dapat nandun yung logo mo sa upper left, nandun yung kung magkano yung babayaran nila naka-breakdown with the VAT or without with the VAT or with withholding or with I forgot the tax na 3%. Percentage tax. There you go. Percentage tax, which is 3%, I think. So, nandun na lahat. Naka-breakdown na lahat siya. So, there's a certain format, and that's why we use Word file, save it as PDF, yun yung pinapadala namin sa clients. That's when I was starting out. Easier, cheaper, and we didn't have like the number of clients we have now. Now we have more than
Mhm.
50 clients we're billing. But before I had like, I don't know, 10 clients or less. Kayang-kaya gawin yun sa email.
Yeah. And Sean, just to add to that as well, if you want it like to look presentable, canva.com, they have also like free templates for your invoices. So you can just
There
check
you
that
go.
out as well.
Yeah, Canva. One of the most popular websites for freelancers. Definitely Canva. Next question from Patrick. Oh, by the way, JM, you have to unmute yourself sa Discord as well when you unmute on the StreamYard. Just a heads up. Next question would be what should be the important details included on your client contracts that are often overlooked by most companies? All right, so SEO hacker, we have to make sure that the payment terms are there, what the penalties are if the clients pay late, what would be the goal of the contract, of course, first page rankings. We also, one of the most important things as well now, during the pandemic, we added a no piracy clause because we have found out that some of our past clients are trying to pirate people from our team. I thank God for those people who turned down those ridiculous offers, by the way, ridiculous amount of money. But they turned it down. And this is coming from what I said earlier that it's about how you treat people. It's about the culture. The culture will keep your business from breaking down because you get to keep people who are like you, who like to work with you, who love your company culture because you were intentional enough to build it that way. Also, you have to put in the breakdown of your services, the acknowledgement, what's that called? Notary. The notary. Importante po yung notary kasi pag hindi siya na-notarize, hindi siya binding sa law and you can't use that for litigation. So, those are some of the important things that you have to put in your contract. Anything you want to add, JM?
Yeah. Make sure lang na may signature yung dalawa.
Tama yan.
Just like what you mentioned.
Yeah, a contract is useless without a signature. And there may be some people who are wondering, why do we need a contract if we know each other and we trust each other? I just want you to know that not having a contract will make things a lot messier someday when there's a breach of your verbal agreement or there's a breach of your supposed agreement. It makes it a lot messier and sometimes would break the relationship. So do what you need to have a contract that's good and binding and both of you agree with, and that is to protect your relationship actually. No? Humans, we cannot operate just on trust value now. Sadly, if we could, there would be no need for contracts. But not everyone has the integrity of Christ. Diba? Yan ang problem. What do you usually discuss with your clients yearly or quarterly meetings or reports? Puro pang SEO hacker yung tanong ni Patrick.
Yeah.
Um, we discuss the rankings. We discuss new keywords we would want to tackle. We discuss the direction once we achieve, for example, the first page rankings early. We also discuss what else we can do for the client. Maybe they want to take on our conversion rate optimization services, site speed, site security, among others. And we have a good time doing that. That's what's most important because we get together, we build the relationship, we ask how each other's doing, how's business, how's the family. I think that's the most important part. More than talking numbers and more than talking shop, it's about talking about how each other is doing and building the relationship better. All right. Last questions. Last three or four questions, I think. From Michiana Michiana SMS. I'm not sure how to pronounce. I just call you Mitch. Hey, from Mitch. What can you say about people who choose to work for free in exchange of testimonials or possible long-term employment? Ayan. JM, kaya-kaya mo sagutin yan.
Um, Sorry, I can't understand the last one. Okay, so work for free in exchange of possible long-term employment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
parang
maybe you can
papakitang
clarify that.
kilos, I think.
Okay. Parang medyo mahirap ata yung last part na yun. 'Di ba? Na like what you mentioned, Sean, like pangpakitang gilas first for a possible long-term employment. I don't think that is going to be feasible in the long run. And yeah, work for free in exchange of testimonials. Like what kind of work or service or product ba? Is this something that you will offer in exchange of testimonial, like let's say for social media as well? So parang yun din yung gusto kong i-clarify first, Sean, when it comes to this question. But I think maybe you can answer this better also. But yeah, I just need to for the question to be clarified also.
Sure. I think, yeah, kulang yung qualifications no, for this question to be answered clearly. But I would just assume muna, Mitch, about this question being a service being provided to the client. Maybe you're a freelancer, you're doing maybe social media marketing as a service. So I'll answer it from that perspective. And I think that if you want to work for free in exchange for the testimonial, that would entirely depend on how well you can provide for yourself and or your family if you're a family person or if you have responsibilities in paying some of the stuff at home. I would say if the testimonial comes from a very big personality or a very big company, worth a shot. But if it's just going to come from some unknown person or not well-known person, I don't think that's a good trade. So it would depend on who will give you the testimonial. Possible long-term employment, I would say also worth a shot if the company is a well-known company with a culture that you really want to get into, with a pay that is good for you. and with you looking at a staying long term with that company, I would say it is worth a shot. Otherwise, it's gonna be a no. So if the person or the company you're gonna be doing it for free for not so well known, I'd say it's not worth it. Also, if the employment doesn't have you don't think that you're gonna be part of the board, or you're gonna be part of the higher up positions, why would you want to stay there long term? So you have to first look at your end goal. What is your end goal? Before you give anything for free, you have to check it out first, because you might end up always having to do that. And no freelancer or business would want to have the reputation that, oh, this guy, oh, this girl, or this business, they give stuff away for free. I don't think anyone would want to have that reputation, because then lugi ka. You're not gonna make money, right? So that's what I think about it. Next question from Mitch. Do you think that is enough measure of a person's hunger to succeed in the career they want to pursue or enter? Have you accepted people like this in any of your business? So I think this is pertaining to her previous question. What do you think, Jillian?
Do you think that is enough? Sorry, I need to reread your question so that I can understand it better. Measure of a person's hunger to succeed in the career they want to pursue or enter. Well, it actually depends on the person's motivation as well. Like for instance, with what also Sean mentioned earlier, like yun naiisip ko kasi Sean with the previous question as well, like 'di ba, when you also like do on the job training, and then the employer will see how you work, and then there's a possibility for you to be hired for long-term employment. So that's actually good. Yeah, do you think that that is enough measure of a person's hunger to succeed, career they want to pursue or enter? Have you accepted people like this in your... So yun naiisip ko rin, parang to those people who want to be mentored, like let's say by Sean, 'di ba? So it really depends on the person if he or she wants to learn as well, like from the leadership, like for instance of Sean, 'di ba? So what about you, Sean? Yeah, is it enough like to measure the person's hunger for success that they want to pursue or enter? If they're going to try it, like let's say mag-work for you for free, as a way for them to have a long-term employment for SEO hacker.
I haven't had that experience yet, but there's definitely plus points for them if they would say they'd work for free for X number of days, weeks, or months. And the reason why they're going to be doing that is they want to join the team. Definitely plus points, because I could see determination there. One of our core values is challenger. That's a core value that's all about going the extra mile, doing the hard thing. So that check na sila doon. They're check already with that core values, which is a big deal. But I don't think that's enough measure of a person's hunger. I don't think so, because I have had a lot of experience where people, well, they didn't do that, but they would promise a lot during the interview, and they look like they're very hungry. But when you hire them and they get the job, their hunger just dissipates. Nawawala. Parang nabusog sila bigla. So, one of the reasons why we have the six-step hiring process, and imagine now it's just online, diba? Because we interview via Zoom. Before, they would have to keep on going to our office 6 times, because we asked them to go home each time. So the fact that they would go back to the office each time tells us about their desire and hunger to really be part of the team, and how much this job matters to them. That for me is skin in the game. Kasi wala pa silang sweldo, wala pa silang bayad, nakailang commute na sila pabalik sa office namin. And yung iba galing pang Cavite or Laguna. Malayo talaga. So that for me is a better calibration on how to check someone's hunger. So yeah, but if there's someone who would do that, plus points to them. But that's not the end all. I still have to check a lot of things about them.
Mhm. Sean, are they interns? You consider them as interns?
I would probably consider those people as interns if they're gonna be working for free. Yeah, because if they're not interns, I have to hire them as probationary employees. Otherwise, it's illegal. Well, yeah.
So do you recommend that also first to people like trying internship to the company that they want to be hired from?
If the company is accepting internship or you're gutsy enough to do a move like that, but you're able to sustain yourself, because there's skin in the game, right? But if the company doesn't have integrity and pinatrabaho ka lang nila for a prolonged period of time as free labor, that's gonna hurt, right? I mean, you're gonna feel betrayed doing that for a prolonged period of time. So you have to check the integrity of the company as well. Definitely a gutsy move if you're gonna do that. Hats off. Yeah. Next question from Bern. Have you tried cold calling to look for clients when you're starting out? And do you do it today? I have not tried cold calling. Cold messaging, cold emailing. Yeah, I have tried cold emailing, but not cold calling. How about you, JM?
No.
I
Yeah,
know
I
that. Yeah, I know it's good hustle, no? It's good hustle for some people to do cold calls out of the blue. Steve Jobs has done it. If you read his biography, Elon Musk has done it. But then again, before, di pa ganun kasikat ang email, talagang cold call lang meron sila. Yeah. You were gonna say JM. Sorry, I cut you there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can consider it cold calling, but I think I did it for one of my for one my first coffee table book. So I actually wrote also like a letter to this company if I can also like distribute my coffee table book from their coffee shop. And timely naman na they're doing that actually, and then a percentage goes to a charity. So something
Mhm.
like that. So can you consider that as cold messaging?
Yeah, I would say. I would
Mm,
say, yeah. It's
yeah.
it's a gutsy move. The reason why cold calling for us is not that effective and why I've never done it is SEO kasi is not something that you buy usually. Eh. It's especially when I was starting out, a lot of companies didn't know and didn't care about what SEO was. So cold calling them would be generally a waste of time and effort. So I didn't do it that way. We did rank for keywords that are super important for us, such as SEO Philippines, SEO services, SEO company, and that worked out a lot better because they were just people and companies who were looking to get us. Na alam na nila na SEO kailangan nila, gusto nila. They would type in those keywords, go in our website, and we'd set a deal. And even then, getting those calls in, getting those people in who are already interested, that takes a lot of time and work pa. So me working on cold calls doesn't really make sense. I would rather just put that time and effort on working on closing the deals I have already in the pipeline who are inbound rather than doing outbound calls and messaging.
Mhm. So you can say that it depends talaga, no, Sean?
Yeah.
Like I also know this entrepreneur, and he was also writing a book, and he actually did this also, and he was able to interview key people for his book. So yeah, it really depends also.
It really depends. It really depends. I mean, for me, asking you to join me here as a co-host, that was like cold messaging. I know we're friends and we know each other, right? But out of the blue, I messaged you that way. I'm not trying to sell you anything though, but if you just want to bridge better a relationship, cold call, cold messaging works.
I agree.
Yeah. Last question. Last two questions. Does your package include SEO and website? Yes, it does. So if you get our SEO, you get the website as well. But it depends on what kind of website it is. My functionality ba behind it, e-commerce ba. Website can be super broad. Eh. So we have to talk about this first. And how did you learn all the legalities in business? By doing it. I'm a shoot first, aim later kind of guy. So when I was knee deep, maybe even neck deep already in the mud of entrepreneurship, then I realized, oh, I need this pala, oh, I need that pala. There are some people who helped me out because I asked them questions. There were times where I cold message people and I told them, hey, can I buy you lunch? And I just have a couple of questions. Your choice of restaurant, I'll pay. And then that was a mentorship session for me. And I knew these people. Some of them have sold businesses, some of them have been adopted to board of directors. Some of them have stock shares in their company. So I asked them all of these questions. That's how I can answer all of these questions that you guys ask me now. I also learned them from other people. Other people, including books, including those mentorship dine outs or lunch outs, and also from my own experience hiring professionals as well. Sometimes you hire an accounting firm and then you ask them questions. I know that's how I did it. Parang naging libreng, parang tuition fee ko na rin yung binabayad ko sa kanila eh. Kasi I asked them a lot of questions. Paano to? Paano yan? Paano yung deadline sa ganyan? Paano natin ito gagawin? Also um, for the law firm that we have, I also asked them a ton of questions. I read a lot of the Philippine laws and I tried to decipher what they mean. I've read the entire data privacy law. It's not so long. In fairness, medyo maiksi yung law natin about data privacy. I understand everything that's written there. And I have read a lot of contracts from a lot of different companies. That's how I was able to craft my own contract as well. So all of these things, you cannot really just learn it by not doing the business and researching about it. Eh. Iba eh, if you're already there in the fray, in the battlefield, fighting for your life or for your business, and then you learn all of these things, it just sticks way better, and it takes on a different meaning. So that's how I did it. I'm not telling you how to do it, but you decide how you want to do it. Okay. That is the last question. JM, thank you
Wow.
so much for being here.
Well, thank you very much, Sean, and everyone who tuned in this evening. And Sean, just ano lang ha, parang yung nakuha ko rin with everything that was mentioned through the questions and then your answers as well, is that in terms of business and entrepreneurship, it's so important for you to be a learner, keep
Mm,
on learning through other people, have a mentor, and do your own research and study as well. And just like what Sean also mentioned, go for it. I think
yeah.
opposite tayo, Sean. Ako kasi steady Carabao ako slash influential rooster. So I also need like to be with other people who are more aggressive in a way, but in a good way, actually. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you very much, Sean.
It's my pleasure. And shout out to James Del Rosario, previous SEO hacker in the team. He's tuned in now. I think he has his own business. And thank you for being here, James. Hope you can help us by sharing this episode to friends and family if you learned something from here. And lastly, I just want to share with you guys this website, armory.ph, for those of you tuned in on Discord. That's armory.ph. They are a website that sells watches. They're the exclusive distributor of the brands TW Steel, D1 Milano, Fonderia, Luminox, and Mondane. All Italian brands, very reasonable prices. And if you are planning to buy a watch soon for yourself, for friends, family, make sure to check out their website. The watch I'm wearing now is a D1 Milano Skeleton X-ray watch, and that came from armory.ph. There is a 30%, I'm not even kidding, ang laki ng discount, 30% discount ang binigay nila sa mga listeners ng podcast. Just enter the code LS30, that is LS30, when you check out. You get a 30% discount. And my gosh, the prices here, it's just 24K, 29K, meron pang 20K lang, may 18K. So 30% discount would put it down to just 12K, and you have an exclusive Italian watch on your wrist. They ship it to you super safe with security tape as well. That's how they shipped it to me. Lots of bubble wrap as well, so you don't have to worry about your shipment. Well, guys, that is a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We had a ton of questions about franchising, starting your business, maintaining your brand, all the way to how a contract looks like. Grabe, jam-packed. And this is the first time we've also have had the co-host JM. We are gonna see more of her in the coming weeks. And again, I want to thank you, JM, for being here, both in Discord and in the live show. Once again, I will see you. This is every 8 p.m. Thursday night. Next week, we will have it again, Leadership Stack Live. And until that day, keep leading.